on YouTube, and I did not see that until the live stream was over. And then you only have a certain amount of time that you can respond to those live chats. So on YouTube. So I will do my best to pop into those areas as we are live today, guys. So that way, and I had some people comment on Facebook too. So if you are trying to, say something or comment or whatever, I will do my best to check on those and respond. And if there's, a comment left over when I'm done with this live stream, then we will get to that. But first of all, I want to dig into this the government shutdown. Oh, actually, let's start off kind of light, okay? So first, Donald Trump posted about the Lincoln bathroom that he renovated. I know there's a lot of controversy about Donald Trump touching the White House and renovating it, etc. This man is a real estate agent. That is his background, so he knows in depth how to take something that is of historical significance, etc., and make it beautiful. He knows how to take something and make it more modern, or keep the actual essence of what that building is about. And so I personally, I trust Trump to make the right decision. And so here we look at the renovations of the Lincoln bathroom. You saw that how it looked. I think it has this like greenish type color, which I don't even think that doesn't even look fitting for the White House. I feel like it should be a little bit more luxurious place, in my opinion. I feel like that type of color and arrangement right there could be something that's on like a, thank you so much for zooming in. That looked like something that could be done in like a regular house that somebody is selling. I feel like there should be better upgrades for a president of the United States. And so President Trump did some renovations, and let's put up that one. So now this is how we're looking. This right here, this is class. He also talked about that this is more the color scheme, and the whole setup there is more fitting for the Lincoln era. So he kept that essence of even the era of that time, and this is how it should be. And I was just talking to my producer off air, and he was telling me about how there were people who were flipping out about Trump even touching the doorknobs and renovating the doorknobs. They're falling off the handles. And I remember Trump saying that too. But it's like, if you can't even use the door, like how is that benefiting to any president or anyone, or even any foreign, leaders that come to visit? Like, we need to have these things up to par. They should be top notch in the White House. And so I think these renovations, personally, I think that they're a great idea, as long as you keep the essence and the history and all of that intact. And I think Donald Trump is well on the money there. Like, he's doing that. When you look at the renovations, when you look at the reason why he did the color scheme, that color and not some other random color, it's all to keep within the era, the time frame of the certain parts of the White House that have been built at a certain time. And he's doing that. And if there's something that's falling apart, in order for us to even reserve that, we might have to make some slight modifications that still keep the essence of it without destroying other portions of it that are also significant. I'm here in South Carolina, and so downtown we have a ton of history, but over time, buildings start to fall apart. And sometimes you have to go in and you have to do light renovations or whatever the case might be, to preserve that, so that people for years to come can be able to see the beauty of in the history of that building or that home. And so it's pretty normal to bring up those renovations, especially since there's wear and tear along, through the years. And I feel like the White House is no different. I love that Trump is doing great things that last beyond Trump's, time in the White House. Um, I know there's jokes about him running 2028, but Donald Trump is a jokester, and I think he knows that he's just trying to entertain the media. Is from what I'm understanding. If he is JD Vance's vice president, that'd be awesome. But because he's a master negotiator, he'd continue to bring in massive amount of money into this country. I think they could be of great value to each other, or maybe even Marco Rubio as VP I think would be good too. Anyways, those renovations are beautiful, and I think they still keep the essence and the history of the White House. And so on my end, I have no issue there with the renovations, as long as we keep the essence, as long as we understand the importance of the history there. And I think Donald Trump, he has that the way he's rearranging the White House, the way he's going about honoring certain areas of it, and even the development of it, I think is beautiful. Even when we talk about the ballroom is not by taxpayers money. And whereas we've had other renovations that are right, the ballroom, Donald Trump was able to pull together donors and even his own money to do that. And again, this is something that's going to last past President Trump. It's going to be a place where he can do the foreign affairs and host foreign leaders in a very nice place, that even if it rains, people don't have to get their attire messed up, or be in a tent. I think this is the best solution. It's going to be beautiful, and it doesn't cost us a dime. Okay, so I think honestly, if you have a problem with the man spending his own money to better our White House, to better that area in DC, I don't like, you're just trying to fish for something just to tackle him with, because you really don't have anything to say about his policy, his the way he's doing things. To be honest, that's what I think. It's just silly that you can argue over the fact somebody's using their own money to better the White House. It's really weird and just weird. Anyways, so while we have that taking place, this the repairs in the White House, there is a government shutdown. I believe we're now in day 32 of the government shutdown. Happy November 1st, everyone. And we have so many things taking place with this government shutdown. I'm going to get into a little bit about and a little bit into what um, the Democrats want, from my research and from what I can see that the Republicans are trying to also accomplish when this government shutdown. I know that this has affected a lot of people. I spoke to a friend just yesterday where she was telling me her flight was significantly delayed because air traffic controllers, there's not many of them available right now. So it's affecting people on all different levels. I've talked to friends that said that they're that she one of my friends have a contracting job where she works with different people, and she's having to assume more work from these contractors because this is like a whole thing. They don't want to work because they're not getting paid, etc. But if your business is not necessarily tied to the government, you kind of don't really have that worry. And this is something also that I think the Trump administration, when we get to the whole issue of Medicaid, which is a big reason why this government is shut down, one thing that we always heard the Trump administration reiterate, and I'm tuning into politics, guys, more so this year. I've heard some speeches from past presidents and past administrations like Obama and Biden, but I have not closely followed their presidency like I have Donald Trump's. And so, what I can say though is this is the first time that I personally heard a president iterate that, or state that the reason why we even have these programs is for a temporary means for those that need it to be able to get to a place where they can be more self-sufficient. It's not supposed to be something that we continue to rely on for the rest of our life. Now there's Medicare, right? There are people that need that for the rest of their lives, right? But for the able-bodied people that just need a leg up, that's what Medicaid is also provided for, moms and children, etc., right? And we see that even when it comes to this government shutdown, you're relying on this money, you're relying on SNAP, I'm sorry, etc. That it's a dangerous place to be, because at any moment there could be what we like to say playing politics in DC, and now your entire family, not just you, your entire family, whoever's relying on that alongside you, the decisions that you made with the finances, is affected by that, and you got to wait this out, right? Versus being at getting to a place where you can be self-sufficient and not rely on the government, or not have your finances tailored to or tied necessarily to what's happening in DC, right? And I get it, some people can't necessarily do that, and some people were probably on their way to getting off this government assistance until this happened. And I think this is where we have to pressure DC to do the right thing and make sure that we get, SNAP benefits covered, we get WIC covered, we get our troops paid. And Donald Trump has been doing that. I mean, everything that Donald Trump said he's going to do, he has delivered on, even in the midst of this government shutdown, right? So in this government shutdown, we have a pledge or an MoU from Japan, up to $550 billion they have pledged for US projects, under a September memorandum. And this and also, we have Toyota is also a piece of that. Toyota is said to invest $10 billion as well. They're going to be building here in the US, which is going to be awesome because Toyota cars are great. And to have them built here in the US to take advantage of those tax cuts that Donald Trump also talked about, like if we purchase vehicles 2025, I think during his term, basically, that there are some tax cuts that we get. There are some incentives that we get. Um, and also, of course, Toyota building here, they'll also get, the no tariffs slap on their wrist as well. So $10 billion, guys, that's the promise that Toyota has made. And of course, all of this stuff has to be solidified. This is basically their word that this is what their plan is to do. That's the MOU. but they have to solidify all of these billions of dollars coming in. And as we know, Trump has been solidifying these things, so it seems more likely to take place than not. So this is really good. I want to state this because I recently heard Hakeem Jeffries saying that we're in the middle of this government shutdown and where's Donald Trump, but playing games overseas. But really, he's actually handling business and bringing things back here in the States. And also, while he was overseas, he secured America's foothold on rare earth minerals, because we learned that China was trying to actually was sending letters to different countries to basically stop us from getting those rare earth minerals from certain countries. But now we have a deal with Japan, and for these critical minerals, and we got a framework taking place. And so he also went ahead and established that. So this is major wins for the United States, and all while before leaving the United States to make these deals, he also had a plan to fund SNAP or WIC, and also fund our military. There's a donor that gave, I think, $130 million to help sustain the military for a week while we had this government shutdown. And then also Trump planned to pull from the tariffs in order to help fund WIC. So there was a plan there, while the Democrats were up there playing games on getting all these benefits to the American people that need it. So um I want to play this video really quick. It's going to give us a little bit of some backgrounds. This is from my TikTok channel, Aisha Speaks Truth, where I break this thing down more in detail. I dropped this video, I think, a few days ago. I was just really tired of hearing all the lies from the Democrats. I'm like, in my head, as I watch them on the news, I'm like, they really are counting on the American people to be ignorant. They really are, by saying things like Donald Trump is over there. This is what Hakeem said, Hakeem Jeffries. Donald Trump is in Japan playing games. It's like, really? When you look at what he's done in Japan before coming back, when you look at the fact that before he left, he did all these other things too. And just to throw that out for the people that don't, maybe not follow Donald Trump closely, or just plain out don't like him, to have some type of rhetoric against him that's not even factual. So I had to drop this video. So I definitely want to play this for you guys to see. Day 29 of the government shutdown, and the Democrats are really counting on the American people to be ignorant as to what's actually happening on Capitol Hill. I saw a recent press conference with Hakeem Jeffries insinuating that Donald Trump is in Japan basically playing games when he should be here in America negotiating this shutdown. But let's actually understand why Donald Trump is in Japan and how it's actually benefiting the American people. Trump is out of the country securing deals with Japan to bring money into this country, a whopping $550 billion in investments, might I add, and to secure U.S. foothold on rare earth minerals, because China was pressuring other countries to choke off our access. And let's not forget what Trump did before he left this country. Trump brought in an outside donor to help put up $130 million to help cover pay during this shutdown, and also tapped into the tariff revenue to help cover WIC benefits. That's what leaders do. They put America first globally and at home. Democrats, on the other hand, want $200 billion to be given to healthcare for illegal immigrants. Billions in wasteful programs returned to foreign countries, like funding feminism in Africa over food stamps for American people. But Trump is the one playing games overseas. $500 million on left-leaning news organizations, and to cut $50 billion from rural hospitals. And they already openly admitted that they're using the American people as leverage. Per CNN's report, this shutdown has only dropped the Democrats' rating. They're so frantic about gaining control, when all they got to do is change their failed policies and get better leadership. What we need to do is pass this CR and end this dim full of crap shutdown. Yeah, so that's what I felt. I felt like they were full of crap because of what I was hearing from Hakeem Jeffries and others. And the way that they throw out rhetoric, they throw out language for the people that believe every little thing they say without actually fact checking. Just to give people, I feel like, words to throw out on social media, just words to put in their mouths that they can say in defense of the Democrats. But it's so easy to rebuttal them. It's so easy to just cancel all that they're saying, because it's just not factual. So I'm just going to reiterate what the Democrats want as a result of this and what's taking place. So the Democrats want $200 billion to be given to healthcare for illegal immigrants. And as you know, with the OBBB, the one big beautiful bill, that this was something that the administration cut, because again, this is they consider this as wasteful spending. This program that American people pay into should go to Americans, and that's just the truth. It should serve the Americans. And again, I'll reiterate this as well, since we're here. If we continue to go at the rate that we were going before Donald Trump became president, probably in a few years we would not have the money that we have into Medicaid. We would not have these benefits that American people need, that we should have in systems in play for our Americans that are in need. And so, in order to protect that, we need to make sure that we're cutting the waste, we're cutting the fraud, cutting the abuse. And Doge has discovered so much under the Medicaid program. It was insane. People on it that shouldn't be on it. I mean, I heard one person, one representative state that one guy was on Medicaid or SNAP benefits in 6 different states. Like, that's wild. So the fact that, and there's some people who they will continue to be on Medicaid and forget to cancel their, call Medicaid and cancel it, and they got a job now and etc., and not even know that they're still on it, right? So in order for us to continue to check and have these balances to where we can make sure that the people are on it actually still need it, I think it's definitely right to do a 6 month check, or something like that, where we can constantly check in on people and say, hey, re-verify yourself, re-verify your employment benefits, make sure that you are actually still in need of the program. Because the thing is, we want to be good stewards. That's a biblical thing, to be good stewards of the money that's coming into this nation and how we provide for our citizens and our people. The second thing they want, billions in wasteful programs returned to foreign countries. And like I mentioned in that video, Hakeem Jeffries said that Trump was the one playing games overseas, but them wanting to fund feminism in Africa over food stamps for Americans sounds like playing games in overseas to me. Or the things that they wanted to establish in Pakistan, LGBTQ, and that sounds like playing games to me. Those are not pressing needs like feeding American people or feeding the needy. I mean, if you were telling me you were going to feed people in Pakistan, that's different from funding something like feminism and ideology. Okay, let them decide what they want to believe over there. We need to make sure that the taxpayer money is actually going to make it be 100% beneficial to the American people. And stuff like this right here, that this causes waste, and it doesn't prolong the program over years to come. And this is what Donald Trump is trying to do. $500 million on the left-leaning news organizations, like Politico and PBS. I'm not sure if I've seen some stuff from CNN, which they have been dropping some articles saying that this shutdown is actually hurting the ratings of the Democrat Party versus aiding them. CNN is even, finally reporting truthful things on what's taking place in the government, and I think it's maybe done for, or maybe due to, a few different things. The fact that Donald Trump and his administration have now understood that they got to be their own media in order to get the truth out, to get the American people to see the opposite side and what's actually taking place. Because if you have all these left-leaning media and their biases just reporting what they want you to hear and what they want you to see, you don't really hear the opposite side, because there's no one there to say, hey, this is what's actually happening, and truthfully say what's actually happening. Then you're just more inclined to believe that, especially if you're somebody, that American citizen that's working all day, and you're relying on these reporters to give you the. So I think this is brilliant for him to step up and take control and say, this is what I'm actually doing, this is what I actually said. So that way, when he's taken out of context, we have the actual footage of what he said, and or the Truth Social posts of what he said. Another thing is cutting $50 billion from rural hospitals. So, and the Democrats have already openly admitted that they're using the American people as leverage. Okay, and so this is something that I think the Democrats cannot refute right now, is that they are the reason that we have this shutdown, because they can't pass this bill. We need 5 more Democrats to pass this CR, this continuing resolutions that the Republicans introduced, that has no changes, no new demands from the Republicans. It's something that the Democrats have already signed off before. It's just that the fact that this is Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has gained so much ground in his first 8 months in office, this is the thing that they decide to use as leverage, because it's the first thing that they can pull. And it's at the expense of their constituents and all Americans. Okay. And the one thing that the Republicans are saying is like, let's pass the CR, and then we can discuss all of this stuff. And still, I'm pretty sure we're not going to fund illegal immigrants on Medicaid. So that's just probably going to still be a non-negotiable. Okay. And that's something that Donald Trump has talked about during his entire campaign. You had about 80 million Americans that voted for this. Okay. So he's going to honor that. Donald Trump has been solar focused on his honor, his word to the American people, his campaign promises. He's been running with that. And I don't think you will be able to deter him from what he has promised us. And we're grateful to have a leader like that. Okay, we're going to get to our first sponsor. This is Jace Medical. Then we'll get back to our next topic for this episode, which will be Nigeria. So take a look at Jace Medical. You probably saw the flooding in Texas, like major flash floods in San Antonio. People getting rescued from their cars, neighborhoods underwater. It's heartbreaking. And honestly, it's a wake up call. We don't think about this stuff until it's too late. Like, what if the roads are shut down? What if you can't get to a pharmacy? What if someone in your house needs antibiotics or emergency meds and help is not coming fast enough? That's where Jace Medical Kits come in. They are phenomenal. It's a little emergency supply of life-saving antibiotics and other meds prescribed to you and shipped to you. This is prescribed medications from real physicians. They are able to customize a package for you. I didn't get mine because I'm paranoid. I got mine because I've got kids, a husband, family, and friends and neighbors around me. And if a flood, storm, blackout, or whatever happens, you don't want to wait on medical services if you're someone who requires meds like albuterol or insulin. So if you've been thinking or haven't set a plan for having emergency meds on standby, don't wait. Jace Medical makes it super simple. You can use my code Aisha, IESHA, and you'll get a great discount on medications that you need. You can find the link in the bio or the description. Yeah, so check out jacemedical.com and you can use my code again, ISHA, at checkout, all lowercase, and then it'll give you a discount on whatever you order, any kit that you order, you can use that discount on. So you have your emergency medications. Now, before we move on to Nigeria, just to reiterate, so we have small businesses, contractors, families on WIC, and also our military that are feeling this hit of the government shutdown. I believe we have a True Social post that I want to put up as well of Donald Trump basically urging us to call Chuck Schumer and even dropping his number in the Truth Social post. So we can put that up really quick. There we go. Our government lawyers do not think we have the legal authority to pay SNAP with the certain monies we have available. And now 2 courts have issued conflicting opinions on what we can and cannot do. I do not want Americans to go hungry just because the radical Democrats refuse to do the right thing and reopen the government. Therefore, I've instructed our lawyers to ask the court to clarify how we can legally fund SNAP as soon as possible. It is already delayed enough due to the Democrats keeping the government closed through the monthly payment date. And even if we get immediate guidance, it will unfortunately be delayed while states get the money out. If we are given the appropriate legal direction by the court, it will be my honor to provide the funding, just like I did with military and law enforcement pay. The Democrats should quit this charade where they hurt people for their own political reasons and immediately reopen the government. If you use SNAP benefits, call the Senate Democrats and call them to reopen the government. Now, and here is his crying Chuck Schumer's office number. That is hilarious. Great. Made it very easy for us to call him and demand that he reopens the government. Okay, it's all about like what I constantly see from the Democrat Party is they care more about power than they do anything else. Like than they do even their constituents. They care more about being right about a policy than they do about their constituents. Like when we look at the whole issue with Abrego Garcia, like the dude went over there. I can't remember what state he was in. Governor, he went to El Salvador to talk with Abrego Garcia, and the people that MS-13 members had actually murdered in his own state, he had not reached out to them yet. And the woman got on a press conference with Caroline Leavitt and stated he has not reached out. He has not done anything for us. All we have seen from him is that travel that he made on our taxpayer dime to El Salvador to speak to Abrego Garcia, which is very despicable. That you can definitely see like this is what they care about. They care about being right. They care more about their failed policies and holding on to that than they do any of that. And the funny thing is, if you go far left, it leads and breeds the socialism type policy and type thing. It's just wild. Okay, Nigeria. I wanted to do a little bit of research on Nigeria, guys, because there has been growing tensions that in circulating in Nigeria with the persecution of Christians and some Muslims as well. But I think the main group are Christians there. And I want to be a voice for this because we don't see the mainstream media covering it enough. So we will. In Nigeria, you have the religious freedom violations are systemic and they're ongoing. There's mob violence, insurgent attacks, mass killings and kidnappings in the Middle Belt. And it's just really sad. And you see some pastors, I've seen some videos of some pastors speaking out about this because there's people within their congregation or leaders within their family members of leaders in their congregation, I'm sorry, who have been killed. And so I'm really glad that Trump has finally stepped in and done something. I've been praying ever since I've heard this taking place in Nigeria, of Christians being persecuted, because I don't think it should happen. But Donald Trump has now issued a country of particular concern, which allows him to put sanctions on Nigeria to get them to move and do something to protect religious freedom. And so I do have a little quick video from CBN that I want us to watch to give us a little bit more context on this. And then I'm going to be, until this, we get more resolve here in Nigeria, protection of Christians and non-Christians too that are facing this. I'm going to continue to talk about this, and I'll bring you guys what I learned from the hostility here. And one thing I did learn listening to different reliable sources like CBN is that this whole killing of Christians is coming from not even the people within the actual, necessarily in the nation. They're coming from other places, and they're coming to certain parts of Nigeria to kill, to kill Christians and non-Christians too. There's some Muslims that also have been attacked as well. That is a result of Nigeria's open border policy, is what one report said. Is the reason why this is taking place, which I thought was very interesting, because this is the one thing that Donald Trump went over in our nation, and we saw a result of the open border policy was 400,000 plus children going missing, and MS-13 and other gang members from other countries that have, their countries are up in shambles, come to our nation to create chaos, not to come to to have a different life. Some of them do, but to just commit crime after crime after crime. Not only did you come into the border legally, but then you're driving without a license or an expired license, like Abrego Garcia. You're trafficking people. You are murdering people, and it's just like it's okay, like nobody is going to stop you. And we can't have that in America. We have to set a precedent. People are escaping to come to our nation for protection, and we have to continue to be that for them. And that's what our nation is built over. We are that safe haven, and I thank God for that. So let's watch this quick video by CBN.
In the African nation of Nigeria, millions of Christians are persecuted by Islamic terror groups. The Nigerian government is doing very little to stop the attacks. Well, now religious freedom advocates, including one member of the U.S. Congress, are taking action. CBN's Kelly Wright has this look at the crisis.
On this very day, 210 persons were slaughtered in one night, in less than 24 hours.
The video from the Father's Day massacre includes graphic images of people being burned alive, families attacked, and homes destroyed in Yelawata, Nigeria.
That very day, it was raining, so planning herdsmen, they invaded the community and claimed so many lives.
Around 12 midnight, we started having calls from Yelawata that the Fulanis have come and they are killing, burning.
Friday night, I was sleeping in my house. See my house there. I come here, they shoot gun. Later, they come, they break this house. Where my brother is sleeping here with his children. Thereby, they come, they kill people. They were breaking the house. Say, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar.
These first-hand accounts gathered by Truth Nigeria journalists describe the ongoing atrocities in a terror campaign to eradicate Nigeria's Christians. Judd Saul, filmmaker and missionary, the organizer of equipping the persecuted, highlighted this documentary as a way to sound the alarm.
We need to fight this thing threefold. One, America as a government needs to get involved with a very little. I'm talking very little of our resources. If we just did the very little bit of push an aggressive foreign policy, throw some sanctions, whatever it takes, I think we can put a significant dent in this and put a stop to this.
U.S. Representative Chris Smith of New Jersey, who has traveled to many dangerous areas in Nigeria, has introduced a resolution in Congress to help stop attacks fueled by religious hatred.
There has been an exponential increase in attacks on Christians and some Muslims, but Christians in particular. Protestants, evangelicals, Catholics. They're firebombing their churches. The Fulani are killing them with absolute impunity. We've called on the government in Abuja and the president several times to do what governments do, law enforcement. Use the military if you have to, but stop this genocide and do it now.
The resolution points to Nigeria's government's apparent open border policy that allows almost free access to the country. Fulani militants and ISIS-linked extremist groups from neighboring countries take advantage of this policy to carry out mass murder, rape, and kidnappings.
We're also calling on President Trump to reissue, which he did in his first term, the designation of country of particular concern. And that then gives the president wide latitude to impose sanctions. It's an excellent bill when it's used properly. It gets the attention of all the policymakers, in this case in Abuja. It says, we're not kidding.
During a White House press briefing, I asked Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt about the crisis in Nigeria. And do you know if there's any action that the president will take?
I'm not tracking a call between the president and the head of Nigeria. I know the president wholeheartedly condemns the persecution of Christians or, frankly, of people of any faith all over the world, but I don't have any updates for you in terms of sanctions in this part of the world.
Looking beyond any government response, Judge Saul is calling on the church and Christians in America to stand with the persecuted in Nigeria.
They need to pray. They need to be a voice for the voiceless. They need to be a voice for our persecuted brothers and sisters.
Kelly Wright, CBN News.
Well, whatever pressure we can put on the Nigerian government, we need to put it on the Nigerian government. They're the one responsible for the safety of their own citizens, and to let these armed groups have sort of free reign in the northern part of Nigeria makes no sense. And I don't understand that these sort of continual struggles coming out of Nigeria. You need to establish law and order in your own country. You can't have your women, your girls kidnapped. You can't have people murdered in the streets. You can't have these churches burned to the ground. All of that is happening, and it's happening on their watch. So whatever we can do as United States citizens to petition our government and to support this bill in Congress, and then move on the administration and the State Department to do the very necessary work of saying, look, it's time for you to stand up for your own people. It's time for you to protect Nigerians. So let's do our part, and hopefully the government there will respond and do their part.
Now, joining me right now is Mike Lauber. He's going to hop in and just shed a little bit of light on this. And I believe we'll probably have someone on soon that can give us a little bit more insight as well into what's taking place in Nigeria. But this is blasphemy persecution under Sharia-based penal codes in several northern states. And like I mentioned, and what was also stated again in that video, was that this is a result of open borders, of people coming over without being truly vetted, and they're attacking the people. And I believe Nigeria is more, they more so for Sharia law and things like that, which is why they're probably trying to downplay this persecution. Because while you have people sounding the alarm and videos popping up on social media about what's taking place, you have their government saying that it doesn't exist. It's not as bad. But now we have Trump getting involved in this manner, and I'm very glad that he issued a country of concern, because now that, like I mentioned, that'll help him to step in and actually do something and sound the alarm there and make Nigeria's leadership and their military do something about this. I watched another video with the military, them being asked why they don't step in or why they don't do anything, and they said they have to wait on orders, etc. They can't necessarily move without getting directives, etc. So something is preventing them from providing the protection needed for these different groups when they know that these different groups are being attacked. Something's happening. There's a gap there. There's some type of what it seems like is being allowed, and they're trying to silence the voices of those who are sounding the alarm, who are being harmed. And so this is pretty interesting stuff. Yeah. So Mike, I'm gonna let you hop in and share some insight.
So we're going to try to get Judd Saul on, who was just in that video. I've worked with him before a number of years ago. Looks like back in 2023, we'd had him on my program a few times. Like, this has been an ongoing issue. And essentially, like, Nigeria is supposed to have a secular government. However, around 50% of their population now is Islamic, but a lot of these people are still coming over the border and attacking them in Nigeria. But the government does nothing to prevent it. The people try to, they're not allowed to have weapons to protect themselves. So what Judd's been trying to do is go in, teach them basic defense tactics, setting up early warning and alarm systems, and just helping them understand like what threat they're really under and trying to save as many people as possible. Unfortunately, I've seen other stories where a lot of the police departments and even the military will actually rent these Islamist weapons. They'll pay them a fee, they'll take the guns, they'll go murder people, and then return the weapons and pay them money to utilize them. The government just seems to be frozen. They don't want to do anything about it. They're worried about uprisings in their cities where a lot of the Islamic population's concentrated. Yeah, this is something that isn't new. It's gone on for a long time, but it's really accelerated in the last 12 months where they're under more and more threat and more attacks all the time, and there's nobody to stand for them.
And it's wild that the mainstream media focuses on Israel, our very ally, and calls out, what took place in Gaza, and nobody's covering what's happening in Nigeria or other places when it comes to Christians. It's wild.
Yeah.
And I think Nigeria is probably playing this down. Of course, it has to do, with corruption and money and all that stuff, like you mentioned. We can't rule that out for sure. But they're probably trying to downplay this persecution because they don't want these sanctions. They don't want to be hit with the different things that Trump can lay on them as a result of their inaction in protecting their people.
Yeah, and that's really what they need to do is protect a lot of these people in small villages. These are a lot of the farmers in the country that feed the nation. Whereas in a lot of cases, like I said, the people facilitating these attacks, some of them may live within Nigeria's borders now, but I know previously when we discussed this with Judd, a lot of them were coming over the border with the intent to attack, or they would send small groups in to embed within these villages. They'd live peacefully alongside of them for a few months, but they were really there to open the door and then facilitate the attacks. They were communicating with the Islamists on the outside. Then they would know when things were getting ready to happen. When they would, suddenly they'd get up one morning and all the Muslims that had moved into their village are just gone. Without warning, they disappear, and then within 24 hours, usually in the middle of the night, they'll show back up with the other Muslims and start slaughtering the Christians that are there in the village. I mean, this is a jihad. This is exactly what we see going on in Syria right now, too, where they're slaying the Christians there. And they're actually even slaying one group of Muslims. They're I always forget what the term is, but they're a version of Sufi Islam, which rejects the violence in the Quran, doesn't think they need to be a conquering religion. So they're seen as a threat to the regular Muslims. And we call them radicals here, but in reality, in the world, I mean, this is the norm for Islam, is conquer, destroy, and kill. But yes, in Nigeria, it's just totally out of control, and the fact that the government does nothing to stop it and even covers it up, like you said, like that's the real tragedy here.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny that you bring those two things up, because most times what you see is like you have this sect of Islam of people that say that they're nonviolent, and they very well may be. But then you have them being silent as to when you have these extremists doing different things, right?
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily stand up. And if you don't believe in that, then you should be speaking up, right? That's what we as Christians, we're like, we can't stand by and let people just die, even if they do or don't believe what we believe.
Yeah. I know.
It's just wrong.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them are afraid to speak up because they know they'll have a target on their back too if they say anything. Like the Sufis, the Sufi sect in Syria is actually working with the Christians right now. They're protecting each other. I actually had a discussion about this earlier today with Annie Cyrus. Same thing. We were actually talking about both these stories and wanting to do something to cover them next week. Because the situation in both countries is just completely out of control. We've had tens of thousands of Christians murdered in both countries over the course of this year. And most people in the U.S. know little to nothing about it. It gets no attention in the media. Most people in Europe, same thing, it gets ignored. But this has been an ongoing problem through much of Africa for decades now, where these Islamist groups continue to grow, seize power, murder Christians. In some cases, they'll flee over the border to another country that will protect them. But it's an ever-growing horde, and nothing is being done that's meaningful to put an end to it.
Yeah, this is very, very interesting. I recently saw, I'm just going to insert this in, and then we'll move on to the next topic. And just for the people that are watching, if you are not seeing Mike on camera, he's not on camera. You will hear his voice only right now. So,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah, it's okay. So I saw a recent video where actually there were 4 Muslims that were speaking up against Mandani. So that was interesting. I saw this Facebook post on that. I don't if we can pull it up, that'd be great so people can see it. But I thought this was interesting that you even have Muslims speaking up. This is the first time I've ever seen peaceful Muslims or Muslims that say that they're peaceful come up against this and not just join. You know what I mean? Like they don't join in necessarily killing, but if they were holding prayer or whatever the case might be, even if they're radicals, you still see them rally behind the radicals. And defend people like Hamas, right?
Yeah.
So even though they live here and they're operating peaceful, they still defend this idea. So but yeah, so that was interesting to see. That was the first time I ever saw that. It was 4 Muslims who were in New York. They had signs, they had a table, they were speaking with different people, New Yorkers, about Mandani and why they stand against him and what his agenda is actually going to do to America. And that was phenomenal. I've never seen that before. And just thought that was super, super cool of them to speak out. And because this should be a place, America should be a place where they are safe enough to do that, And that's why I love that Trump was making sure that the people that were hurting Jews, when we had the whole issue of Harvard, etc., or hurting people that were standing with the Jews, but peacefully, when they were, there were people that were wanting to kill the Jews or kill people that they knew were Jewish for protesting, that Donald Trump didn't play any games with that. And he either got them kicked out of this country, they were, arrested. So we saw, some type of accountability being had for those that were, breaking our laws and the protection of the people that were actually following our laws, peaceful protests. So, yeah. I don't know if we have that video, you can let me know, but if not,
yeah, I'm having trouble.
Just let me know, but
I don't think I'm going to be able to get it in time. Yeah, Facebook is kind of a pain to download and play.
Yeah, Facebook. I will probably share that one on my timeline too, guys, so you can see it. But I'm gonna get to our next sponsor, and then we'll get to our last topic of the day. But Augusta Precious Metal is our next sponsor. A lot of people are curious about Roth or gold IRAs right now, and if you're ever thinking about investing in gold or silver for your retirement, you've got to hear about Augusta Precious Metal. So they are a U.S.-based company founded in 2012 that specializes exclusively in gold and silver IRAs, helping retirement savers diversify by rolling over traditional IRAs or 401ks into precious metals. This company stands out for one big reason: their ethics and their customer service. They've been named Money Magazine's best overall gold IRA company 3 years in a row. Investopedia calls them the most transparent pricing company, and they are also A-rated with the BBB, AAA with the Business Consumer Alliance, and they've got over 1,000 5-star reviews from customers who are really satisfied. They also offer something rare, which is the highest buyback guarantee. So if you ever want to sell your gold back to them, you can do so with the peace of mind. They also have zero setup, custodian, or storage fees for up to 10 years. And there's also a 7-day money back guarantee when you open your account. So that means you can have the time that you need to decide and make sure that it's right for you. The one thing I absolutely love about this company, other than the fact that they have great customer service, that they're transparent with their pricing, there's no hidden fees, is that they are big on educating people so that when you do make your purchase and you do go into having a gold IRA, that you are well informed, you're happy about that purchase. They help you to avoid the common traps and misinformation that you would usually get from other companies. And they get you to choose your own gold and silver products. They don't push anything on you. I love that. So they keep you in charge. So if you're looking for a long-term and honest support for your retirement savings, check out Augusta Precious Metal because they really deliver. Okay. That's hilarious. Oh gosh. Go ahead and put that up. If you have that photo that I just received, please put that up. That is hilarious, and also shocking and a reality. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen to New York. That's what's going to happen to our liberty there. And it's also, if you heard about what's her name, Ivanka, or is it Ivania, the Ukrainian girl who was, unfortunately unalived
Irina
from the
Zarutska.
man. Thank you, Irina Zarutska. Thank you. Just minding her own business, thinking that she's in a safe place, and this is what's going to happen a lot. I mean, this picture says so much we could dive into, because this man wants to defund the police. He wants to not cooperate with ICE. He wants to, and New York this is without defunding the police right now. This is what you are looking at. So when you defund the police and you don't put money into that sect of society, you can expect a whole lot more of these, and a whole lot more people being afraid to go out at night. I mean, this woman was coming home from work. She wasn't breaking any laws, and then you have this. And the sad thing is, it's like people are so numb to this that you could see the trail of blood on his foot as he walked. And nobody thought to like, hey, where's that coming from? Is that girl okay? You know what I mean? Like, that's the weirdest thing. I feel like if something like that were to happen in South Carolina, I'm very proud of my city for being voted, number one. I want to say it in Spanish, like the most admirable, like most hospitable place in the United States. It was Charleston, South Carolina. That's my state, my city, my state. I don't think we are still number one right now, but we're up there still. We're up there. I think it's hard for us to turn a blind eye to this, man, to be like, that ain't my business. Let me just, and some people were on their phones. They were just, but like, I don't know.
That's the tragedy, is
weird.
people
It is
work,
very
distracted by their own life, but it's also, the fact that this guy was been arrested, I can't remember if it was 14 or 17 times prior to this, should have done some serious time for several of the charges, but same thing, the cases are getting dismissed, or his sentence was getting shortened or disappeared numerous times. I mean, even this last judge for the last crime, even his sister knew he shouldn't have been out on the street. His mother, same thing. That this guy had a screw loose. He did have mental health problems, but that's not a total excuse that he's good enough to be out in the real world on his own and expected to support himself. Then there have to be consequences for your actions when you have these repeated robberies, assaults, and eventually it escalated to murder, and this poor woman lost her life. But with Mamdani too, I saw a video earlier today. I'm gonna see if I can find it for you, and I'll text you if I do. But it was interviews that were being done outside one of these early voting precincts yesterday, or locations for whatever precinct in New York. And they were asking them questions off his website of things he's promising to do to the city. And they were all clueless. They didn't know. And initially they wouldn't believe him. And then the person had a tablet and they'd show them on the website where he stated this policy. And then their response is, oh, well, that's not going to be good for New York or New Yorkers. But these voters are just clueless. They're just voting for Mamdani because it's fashionable right now.
Yeah, or because they hear a little. That's what I said. That's what I mentioned at the beginning of my podcast. It's like most Americans don't have time to do a deep dive into what's taking place in this world and in this nation. And you're being fed from mainstream media. Like all you do is hear him say he wants this to be free and this to be free. So if you tune into him talking or whatever, you just get that and that's it, right? You don't, and then if you don't understand what these freebies actually do to an entire society, you just think about self, like, oh, I'm about to get this free thing, that maybe we need to change up from this. And I think most New Yorkers do want a change. They want to see something different, but I'm telling you, Mamdani is not it. If you do a little research and see how socialism or communism has worked in other societies, it has not worked. It has always failed. And so you can't have it completely that way. China is a little bit of an exception because their rules a little unique. But when you see it done in other societies, it's never sustainable.
No, I mean, Mamdani might as well be promising them fairy dust from the moon for everyone, because a lot of these policies, either A, he doesn't have the power to just wish this into law once he becomes the mayor of New York. Other things like promising the buses will run faster. Well, the law there states they have a maximum speed limit now. They have to follow other traffic laws. They can't They can't just run stop signs and run traffic lights. Maybe he's hoping to put more buses out. But yeah, promising everyone the buses will be faster and run on time. Yeah, it's pixie dust and unicorn farts. It's not going to happen. It's impossible.
Like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, the Democrats are counting on the American people to be ignorant. Because if you don't know that stuff, and it sounds good, you're like, oh, okay, that's a good thing, right? We're gonna run fast, we're gonna be able to get to my place quicker. And you just like, this is why it's very important. Like, as Christians, we understand not to be selfish, but to understand that everything you do impacts, not just yourself, right? But not everybody in the world is Christian. Not everybody see things like that. So when you hear like, oh, I'm going to get this for free, and that's going to be less money I got to spend, you don't really understand what's going to happen to the actual city that you live in, that's going to affect you. You don't really understand how, billionaires get their money, how that actually aids you, that they're the ones that are providing you with jobs, and they're going to be taxed out of the water. What they're going to do is leave New York. And, who else is who's that tax rate going to fall on? You? Your taxes are going to go up when those billionaires leave. So it's like, you have to look into these things. And the average American, I think, is not necessarily well versed on this, because this is not something we talk about in school, as unless you're like majoring in politics or whatever. It's not like ingrained into the American, like, this specific things about inflation or whatever. You got to really do your research. And yeah. And the funny thing is about that too, as we get into our last topic, is that, as we talk about the Nigerians, we talk about Christians in the conservative movement, where we have people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, they're not even talking about, I haven't seen personally, and feel free, whoever you want to correct me in the comment section, I have not seen personally Candace Owens or not Charlie Kirk, because he would have spoken about this. I haven't seen Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson hit on this. But again, they have joined the voice of the mainstream media, the left-wing media, in attacking Israel. And this is the thing where I'm cautious about. I know there are some lovers out there of Tucker Carlson, because I read his comment section, and I know there's some people out there that really are, we call it the Candace Owens cult, because they can't see through all the manipulation and lack of evidence that she's presenting as evidence to this shooting of Charlie Kirk, which I want us to get into as well. There have been a lot of speculation on this issue. I want to play one last video for this podcast today, which is going to be on the findings that I have gotten looking over some of the things that Candace Owens has say. So for context, she posted on X that she plans to not honor this gag order that the judge put out for the people involved and associated with this case. And to my knowledge, she has no association with this case other than being a political commentator on this case. So I had to do some research, because I'm like, to me, it seems like what she's trying to do is maybe insinuate that other people that follow her or see her that actually have this gag order, she's encouraging them to dishonor it. And that's what could happen as a result of somebody of her influence saying something like this, whether or not she said it aloud or not. That's what could be a result. So let's play this last video. It's that TikTok video on this. Here goes Candace Owens once again misleading the public, because she posted on X about 2 days ago, "Don't worry about the gag order in the Charlie Kirk case. I plan to violate it on the world's behalf. The things I've discovered this past week are enough to burn the house down. Yes, Charlie was betrayed by everyone." Okay, she said that she plans to violate the gag order, as if she was given a gag order. Of course, so I went to look this up for myself, because you can't trust what Candace Owens is saying. And so far, none of these articles discussing this gag order insinuates Candace Owens at all. And I'm going to read one for you. Fox 13. This is a screenshot I took. "There's a substantial amount of discovery in this case, Your Honor. It's voluminous to say the least," said Chad Grunander, Deputy Utah County Attorney. Prosecutors also discussed a gag order that 4th District Court Judge Tony Graff had entered in the case, which could create problems. It forbids anyone associated with the case from speaking to news media. There are a number of witnesses that have yet to be identified that will likely be used in the state's case. This occurred in front of 2,000 to 3,000 students at Utah Valley University, so we're in the process of identifying those witnesses. So those witnesses are presently unknown right now, Grenander said. Judge Graff said the gag order was designed to prevent problems associated with pre-trial publicity. The court will rule that as those witnesses become known to each side, that the information is conveyed to abide by this order. Obviously, there are potentially many witnesses, and it's not the expectation that you would do that up front, but as they become known, he said, etc. Okay, to my knowledge, Candace Owens was not present to be a witness at Charlie Kirk's assassination. So just in case I might have missed something, I went over to ChatGPT to make sure that other than the Daily Wire gag order that she received in 2024, that there wasn't any other recent gag order given to her. And this is what ChatGPT said. Short answer, I can't find any credible court-filed gag order against Candace Owens recently beyond the 2024 one tied to her dispute with the Daily Wire. What do I see? Says ChatGPT. Multiple outlets reported in May 2024 that the Daily Wire obtained a gag and restraining order related to its dispute with Candace Owens. And please also note that even though they issued that gag order, the Daily Wire also didn't release anything negative about her. So I think they did that one very much honorably. Current mainstream coverage of Owens does not mention any gag order, e.g. her Australia visa case last week. Y'all need to look into that. Claims about a fresh gag order connected to the Charlie Kirk case appear only in social media posts or low reliability sites. I couldn't locate a court document or reputable news report naming Owens as subject to such an order. So Candace Owens, in order for us to believe that you received a gag order that you're going to violate on behalf of the entire world, please produce the actual direct receipts. Thank you. Okay, so I had to do my deep dive because I'm like, I thought gag orders were for people that are actually like witnesses, lawyers, or, involved in this case like that, and to my knowledge, she was not. So no article that I've read stated that. So again, that's why I had to I'm like, let me just go to ChatGPT because ChatGPT sums it all up. And I wanted to make sure I provided you with actual documents on my findings because I can't be here sounding alarms on what irritates me about mainstream media is that they don't provide actual evidence or truthful narratives about what they're talking about, and then I go and do it. So when I make these claims, I want to bring some evidence to you guys on my findings as well. So usually you'll find a link to what I'm talking about, or you'll see me put stuff up on the screen if if I think that's more fitting. But yeah, so again, she did not receive a gag order. And here's the thing. What I don't want to happen is a mistrial because of what she's spewing. Okay. And I know some people are saying she's grieving. This is how, she's grieving improperly, etc. Yeah, that could be a reason, but this is it's disrespectful. It's just, I can't even put words to describe her, to describe the way she's going about this whole thing. And it's very deceptive because what she will do is she will insinuate something without saying it. And then because it's a hour-long or 30-minute long episode of her great ability to storytell, she puts it off as if it's truth, or at least that's what the viewer picks up. And now, not only has she accused, my internet's still good, right? Not only has she accused Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk's pastor's son, I think his name is Mike McCoy, many others that are involved in this, and now she's saying Egypt. Now the current news is Egypt. So the first Israel, then if I'm going down the line, Israel. Bibi Netanyahu lied about his letter. Bill Ackman was insinuated as well, which she kind of made it seem like he was involved because he's a Jew, and Charlie Kirk was invited to a social event, an influencer event that she didn't know anything about. So her insinuation, because she wasn't invited and she wasn't hadn't firsthand knowledge on it, this is what she claims happened, and that was debunked. All of these things were debunked. The letter was actually, produced and showed the truth. And then she started accusing Turning Point USA CEOs or Turning Point USA's leadership, which includes the CEO, which is Erica Kirk. And now I'm seeing so many things online attacking Erica Kirk and how she's grieving and how she is grieving. And I'm not saying that Candace Owens is not grieving. I just the way she's going about it is it's manipulative. It's like a spirit of Jezebel. It's just incorrect. And it is this pointing finger and accusations with no direct evidence, but your ability to your beautiful ability to storytell is misleading people. And is the reason why I want to sound alarm on this is because I believe and I can see how destructive this is. Because even if the truth comes out, that Tyler Robinson did this alone, etc., there's only the people involved was people in his chat, etc. Even if that comes out, what's going to happen is people will not believe it, and we'll have all these conspiracy theories. Now, I do know that there's a ton of conspiracy theories, but nobody has actual evidence of what took place. And the only thing we can do at this point is honestly we have to wait out the full evidence, the full reporting. I encourage you to watch the actual trial to see the evidence that's being presented, and make that sound judgment for yourself. But now she's tying in Egypt because planes were flying during the time that Charlie Kirk. But that's been debunked as well, because we have I believe, an agreement with Egypt when it comes to this type thing. So it's not necessarily that it was tied to Charlie Kirk. So all of these things, and now people are accusing Erica Kirk being involved, and also saying that she's grieving improperly. Listen, I know a lot of us have not seen true Christians, but if you see a real Christian grieve, that actually trusts in God, like really trust in God, they don't grieve like the world. And the Bible tells us that. He tells us to not grieve like we don't have hope, like there's not an afterlife, like we're not going to see God, like we're not going to live again, right? And I've seen this firsthand. I will mention, my amazing pastor, who on Christmas Eve, her son was driving in an SUV in front of her and her husband, and he ended up getting hit by another vehicle, and their car flipped a ton of times, I think over 5 times, and was yards away from where it was originally. And unfortunately, her son died in her arms, and as well as with their best friend that was in the car with him. And her son, he was 19 years old. So, and what happened with my pastor is her husband got up the next day and preached a sermon. And I wasn't there at the time at the church that this took place, but my best friends that were there before me, that actually came in during that time, it was their first day coming to that service, said that it was so powerful that they ended up giving their life to the Lord, because they couldn't believe that this man had this much, resilience, that something in him was different, that something in him was pushing him along and driving him, that he delivered such a powerful message that they were like, I got to get my, and one of my friends, she was a drug dealer. She came from Puerto Rico, was a drug dealer, was trying to escape her boyfriend who was trying to kill her, and decided to come to church that day, and ended up and she still is there to this day. So she serves, she's in a leadership capacity right now. Amazing woman of God. She serves, travels around the world as well with her husband. And she was one of the people there. There's many others that I could say that were there that gives that same testimony. And I know that that's foreign to the world, to see somebody grieve like they have hope. And, Erica Kirk has something to fight for. She doesn't want the legacy of her husband, the thing that he put his blood, sweat, and tears in, that he believed in, to die. She has something to get up for. She has her kids. She's, people that look up to her in that movement that needs directive, right? And not that she can't take time to grieve. I'm sure I remember her saying many times, I don't remember the last time I slept when she got up to speak. I don't remember the last time I've eaten. I remember her saying that. Okay, so we don't know how she's dealing with this behind closed doors. Only the people that's closer, and she doesn't owe the world at all an explanation. And this woman is continuing to move forward, continuing to press on and believe in this vision. My husband and I were laughing yesterday because one of the things she said that was her kids' lullaby song for going to bed was, I'm proud to be an American because at least I know I'm free. I'm like, dang, Charlie Kirk really believed this. If that's your lullaby song for your kids, I found it, slightly hilarious. But you can tell that he believed in this nation. Like, he really, really wanted to see this nation better itself and become as great as it could be. And I believe Charlie Kirk believed that every single ethnic group, every single group in America plays a part in that, which is why I can't claim that he was racist, because I'm actually state chair of South Carolina of Blexit, a Black organization that Candace Owens and Burnham Tanton founded, which she's no longer associated with, she's no longer at all a part of. And that Charlie Kirk adopted because he saw something in the Black community, and he said that he feels that the Black community should be further along financially. They should be ahead of the game. And he wanted to be a part in making that happen. Right. So, I mean, and anyone that I talked to, even if you guys watch my last episode with having Pierre Wilson here, every leader that I've talked to within Blexit that had a chance to that they were close with Charlie, had nothing but good things to say about him when it came to the Black community, when it came to the work that they saw him doing behind the scenes to help the Black community, to help them to reach the Black community. So, you know, this man did an amazing, you know, started an organization, got donors, started from nothing, had no money, started this, and wanted to pour that into the Black community. That's amazing. I take it. Let us know what you learned. Let us know how you did it. And he was pouring that into Blexit, you know. So, I mean, it's just crazy to see that you have these conservative voices that are doing this right now. And the thing is that if Candace Owens was actually producing receipts that actually had solid ground, and not all of these just speculations and conspiracies that don't have any findings, that calls people out that may not have anything to do with it, okay, it's the danger thing, because she spins it as if it's true. And here's the thing too, I've gotten a lot of times in my posts by speaking out and standing with Israel and certain things, because, you know, I want to stand for truth. And what I'm seeing is mainstream media continues to cover Hamas, but they don't say anything about the fact that they still have the hostages. They didn't say anything about that. That was dropped. They didn't say anything about Israel allowing aid to come into Gaza when their own hostages probably won't ever see that aid. Like, they didn't say anything about any of that. That was dropped for this whole narrative of this, which all of that media spin was coming from Hamas themselves, right? And I love that we had other people, other Christian conservatives who actually went into Gaza, were using their channel to actually film what was happening in Gaza and all the aid that was there and what was actually taking place. And I've watched some of those. So, you know, it's wild that you had that taking place. And then I had people in my comment section saying, oh, you get that $7,000 check from Israel. I'll take that $7,000 check from Israel. If I'm going to speak the truth, I'm going to get paid for it. Oh yeah, I have no problem doing that. And Candace Owens even said this in her one of her posts on X, that if she were getting paid $120,000 a month from Qatar, that she'd take it. But then wants to criticize everybody that's standing with Israel that may be receiving a check from Israel of $7,000. Like, how hypocritical of you. You know, Qatar, one of our enemies. You know, like, Israel has been our consistent ally. And one of the claims is that what does Israel do for America? They do a lot. When you look at the fact that there are intelligence, there are eyes and ears there in the Middle East, that they help aid us in some of the technology that we have. We share technology, we share that intelligence as well. I'm not saying that we can blindly give Israel money, etc. I'm not saying that, but we can't just sit there and also say that they don't provide us with anything, because that's not truth. But yeah, this has bothered me. I want this case to play out, and I want truth to come forward. And I'm going to mention one more thing before we hop off. This is another thing that was sent to me that I had to look into as well. There was a guy who was this is from the dailymail.co.uk. Kash Patel shuts down Kirk foreign intel probe in explosive feud. This is with this guy named Kent, who this was sent to me from a friend. He was doing an investigation into the Charlie Kirk case, but more so trying to see if there were any foreign adversaries that aided Tyler Robinson in his assassination. And what I found is that some people are trying to say that Kash Patel is, you know, trying to hide things. I don't think that that's the case. You know, maybe more things will come out, and I don't know, but at this point, I don't believe that. So in this article, it said that Kent, the guy that was a part of the DOJ, had gotten low-level clearance to go into this case to see if there was any foreign affairs that were attached to the Charlie Kirk assassination. He had low-level clearance. He did not have proper clearance. He didn't have proper authority. There was only one article that said he had low-level, that he stated he had low-level clearance. And that's still not enough for you to have to go into this case and try to probe. Kent is an ex CIA agent, so I'm pretty sure he knows how this goes. He also is working for the DOJ, so he knows how this goes. That if you have another federal agency diving into the evidence of this case and pulling up something else, that has to be introduced into this case and could cause further issue. So Kash Patel had every right to pull this guy off of this case if he didn't have the actual legal authority to do this, to do that type of investigation, because it could cause issue with the case. And I think I mean, Kash Patel has already stated that he's not going to leave any stone unturned, and that is looking into every possible thing. But when you have these people that, don't even have proper clearance trying to look, isn't what I think personally, I'm like, who should be probably looked at is Kent himself, because he's a ex-CIA agent, and he knows how this thing goes. He knows that this would cause issues for the trial and possibly provide the defense with more things to, to corroborate their story on their defending of Tyler Robinson. And he has not proper clearance and even doing this type of probe, that he should be investigated. Why are you having a low level clearance getting into this case when this could be a possibility of an issue, providing an issue to this case? Why don't you get the proper authorization to do this? So that's what my pushback was there when I got this article. So if you guys want to check that out, there's no public record that show that Kent had formal authorization at all, as well. Yeah. So the thing is, I think we have to. I'm not saying that we were supposed to trust the feds. I know a lot of people say, sorry, forgive me for my lights and stuff. I'm at a window right now, but people are saying they don't trust the feds, etc. I believe we are underneath new management, and I think I want to give Kash Patel the benefit of the doubt in doing this work. Now, if you want to aid the FBI, then by all means do that by the proper channels. But to call Kash Patel wrong for stopping an investigation where somebody didn't have authority to be, I think that's just erroneous, to say the least. Okay, so we're going to wrap up to right now, guys. Thank y'all so much for being with me today. I want to continue to look into this Nigeria case and possibly get on that guy that you saw in the 700 Club video, to kind of comment so he can give us some historical context so we can actually pinpoint the actual groups doing this. I know we mentioned ISIS and many other groups are coming in and persecuting Christians. There are some non-Muslims, like we mentioned, that were part of that too. So I don't want to leave that out too, but the majority of people being attacked are Christians there. So we're going to continue. I'm going to continue to follow that and continue to follow Donald Trump's ruling and what he does as a result of these attacks on Christians in Nigeria. And I will also continually closely follow the Charlie Kirk case, as it means as much to me as I know it means a lot to a lot of other people. But thank you guys so much for being with me. Let's pray for the church in Nigeria. Let's pray for the truth in Charlie Kirk's case, and that when the truth is had, that it's undisputable. That's what we need, undisputable truth. Because as of now, with all this conspiracy theories taking place, even if the truth come out, there's going to be tons of Americans that don't believe it because of what's being spewed. I believe, like, I don't think that there's any issue with us asking questions and stuff, but you need to. I feel like that should be constantly said. What about this? Like, we are not trying to say anything against what Kash Patel is doing, but we are just trying to figure out something, not stating that you have the absolute fact that this is what took place, right? When you don't. So that's my issue. So let's pray for our leaders to continue to put America first without hostage politics. And if you are, put up my last card there where you can find me. Thank you so much. So TikTok and X and YouTube, Aisha Speaks Truth. On Facebook, Aisha Schreiner. And then my Amazon storefront, if you want to shop anything that you see here from my beauty and fashion channel, you'll see that also on my Amazon storefront. Thank you guys again for being with me. Make sure you tune in next Saturday, 2 to 3 p.m. ET. I will see you guys